Hello, and welcome back to another episode of PSY-POD, the podcast about nothing. The podcast where we give the same energy about bringing local people and local vibes. Imagine drinking rock beer in the city bus parking with carom board on the side. This is the same energy we bring more. And today we are joined again, like always, with Nola. I give it.
Good example. Hello.
Now he's going to sound a little more crispy, a little bit different today because I forgot my dongle, but that's not the story. Koi zyada. Hello, who do we have here? Please say hello to our local and global fans.
Hi, I'm Tandin from Misty Terrace. I'm a singer, songwriter, and also acted in one movie so far. And good to be here.
Yes, the monk in the gun. He's here.
No, ex-monk.
The Kiti.
If that qualifies.
The Kiti with the top. All right, now, okay, with that being said, PSY-POD starts. By the way, today's episode is powered by Consult with MJ, Bhutan's go-to for smart, secure and strategic tech consulting. Because apparently the have you tried turning it off and turning it on again technique doesn't solve everything. Based in Thimphu, MJ is the rare tech consultant who actually knows what he's doing. With over 15 plus years of experience in the ICT, including cybersecurity and leadership, and also a stint as a chief risk officer, MJ now offers freelance consulting to help businesses and individuals from making tragic tech mistakes. Need help with your Starlink setup, network security, or figuring out why your office Wi-Fi only works near the bathroom? MJ is your guy. Running a business and you don't want your data to be stolen by some teenager with a hoodie in his free time? Or maybe you're just trying to set up a smart and secure home setup in the middle of nowhere with a decent signal and no drama? Then consult with MJ. He also makes useful and informative videos on YouTube and TikTok. Yes, under the name Vibe with MJ. Because somebody gotta explain how this kind of stuff works before your cousin breaks another router or robs a bank. I don't know. Also, you can use the code PSY for MJ. Yes, it's a real thing to get a 10% discount on all the services from Consult with MJ. Yes, it's a real thing. So services like, Wi-Fi setup, Starlink, digital marketing, CCTV, assignments from Australia, you name it. He does it. So consult with MJ and use the code PSY for MJ for 10% discount. Smart tech, less stress. And remember, when MJ is there, do not fear. Unless you're using Internet Explorer, then be very, very afraid. Consult with MJ. Now, back to the video. Alrighty. Okay, before we start the podcast, we have to give a special shout out to Domsit for supporting this podcast with the mics that we see, even the smaller ones today. And also to our lovely members. Yeah, Arthur, if you can kindly point. In post-production, you'll see them all there, smiling, looking down like angels in the sky. Our gods, our angels.
Our gods.
Assistant chapel. No, that's still human realm. They're in the god realm, the deity realm. So anyways, big ups to the members. If you want to join our membership program, pod heads, the link is in the description. Otherwise, it'll be maybe in the side if you're abroad. We do appreciate your support. We cannot name you every single one of you, but Kariche, big ups. But we do have to mention our Pothead Pro. So shout out to Doti, whose subscription is still active. You're making every moment count. So shout out to Doti for becoming a Pothead Pro. If you want to upgrade your plan, just check your membership settings on Jovi Betup. And also one small request, if you before we start this podcast, is most of you who are watching is unsubscribed. So I've noticed that you don't subscribe. So please, if you can just subscribe, we can always try to make the podcast better. And also to subscribe to Juno Studios and Juno Music, where actually Atta collaborated with Mo to make his new song. So you can check out our music and other podcasts from Juno Music and Juno Studios as well. Okay, now let's start. Actually, good segue. We can talk about the project you guys worked on, the Majo Majo. Actually, comeback with the band.
Yes.
So how long was it from the comeback, and you wanted to do it this song?
I think roughly it was around 2 years break, and we took that because I got busy traveling with that movie, The Monk and the Gun. There were some festivals and premieres to attend, and also sometimes I believe there's stages in musicians' life where you produce your first album, second album, and then you go blank for a while. You don't know what to sing about next. Your age, everything changes. The muse that has been inspiring you back then doesn't come to you now. This whole shift, I think. So it took around 2 years, and then when we suddenly decided to get back, we felt we wanted to do something. The themes have changed over the years. We were not that romantic schoolboy anymore, writing songs about falling in love. It was a a boy that's been, changing into a guy, into a man, and then and the themes that you wanted to write about in the song also changed. So we wanted to bring that out. So that's how Majo Majo was born. And Majo Majo is about, I think, finding some maturity in your life. It's about asking bigger questions about existence, about your dreams. It's a cumulative experience of your life so far, and you try to pin that down into a song. And Junior Studios, by the way, did a great job.
After the concept showed us more than song music.
Yes.
They were telling me that you were directing the project.
Yes, indeed.
So after the concept, but at least from my perspective, it looks like young Atta, when he was younger, someone told him, "Don't pursue this."
Yeah, exactly.
And he inspired him.
It's quite personal. That's right. You got it. But it has more of a revolting tone. I must say that because I think art sometimes has to disturb as well, much more than inspiring, entertaining. It's a space where people also, because artists, many people say that they see things differently. If not, then you're not an artist. And so it has a bit of a tone of a revolt, but we wanted to put it down so subtly, because we live in such a small community where, subjects that are too sensitive, like religion, going against your parents, or dreams, how they clash as a teenager, are not openly discussed or even encouraged. So I wanted to bring it out subtly, So, but this is a very personal story. It happened, like the call thing. The parents telling ngang jakni tom manyong ba na guitar game show ko. When we were growing up, this is every day. This is not dramatized or it happened to me. I'm sure it happened to many others, and not just in Bhutan, but many other places where art is not really taken at the forefront, taken for granted, taken like a hobby. So I wanted to bring that out, voice it out. So as long as somebody has that grit and the belief to pursue what's inside them, that fire cannot be hidden, And you may do many other things in your life, but if you don't do what you're meant to do, you will, I think, some sort of a happiness and fulfillment will always be lacking in your life. So I think that was the attempt to portray that.
But after doing your time once, you said it's a true story. Like back then, at least, let's say, 10 years ago, not that long ago, after the career start build up, like Machiki Dato, we can look at a lot of examples to look up to, like Ato yourself, other creators, we can say, if you can try on a scope to, whether it be popularity or recognition or income, toward it. But after the time, I think I saw in the other interviews, there were not many. So what kind of give you that motivation, the way, even it might be difficult, I'm still going to pursue it, even though after parents give my best up to her.
Yes, indeed. I think the grit, the word that I'm bringing here again, it was much more stronger. Yeah, that's exactly Ngar. Junior Studio has a song as well.
Right? Yes. I titled it. Huh?
Yeah. And for me, that I did not specifically know which word exactly to use, but later on, I found out from His Majesty's address, Dangar, and since then it stuck in me. So at that time, but inspiration was so many, living in this beautiful country that's so different in so many different ways from the rest of the world. But thanks to the internet revolution, we had the muse inspiration from the West. I followed a lot of rock music from America, from like Coldplay from England, but the real rise, that the fire that I had in me was because of the deficit that we had, in Bhutan at that time when we were, composing our first songs, when we wanted to, bring out our voice, our songs, when we looked around, not much was happening. All of the songs were like cover songs, or all of the bands were singing songs from India, or, the originality was missing in a huge one. And at that time, it was also the playback singing generation, in the movies.
Playback movie.
Yeah.
Playback singing.
So one would write the song, one would compose the tune, and other one would, make the music, and the last one would sing it. It was more like an ensemble, like a team project. Not a voice. Not that artist, but yeah. So I was exactly not happy with that. And potentially we're talking about art, because art has to come. Some other people writing your songs, you singing it, making music. Of course, some of the great songs were born at that time. We have to accept that as well. But then I felt a big force was missing, and then that's why when we started, we made our own music, we wrote our own songs, and we sang it, and the writings and what the song meant connected and was born out of our own experiences. And that's how we, as we grew up, one of the biggest stars from the West, or even from India, or even from other parts of South Asia, we saw the big names in music or in art. It was that person, they did it by himself, herself, and they did not, borrow lyrics written by some other guy, or, music composed by somebody else. And I don't know if we noticed, but there's some sort of a disconnect whenever such a project comes out. Maybe sometimes it works, but most of the time, the brilliance has been when you do it everything. You bring that original voice, everything out of your own. Yeah, true.
It's personal, no? Personalize with your own music. Man.
Yeah.
So, let's still sticking with the Majo Majo. Usually, we do something in this podcast is when we have musical artists, we do lyrical breakdowns. So, that I think song start, can you give us a breakdown, maybe of a verse from that
Can
song?
I add something? I wanted to ask this, Achu, Ani. I think you really give now, Ani, when you're writing the songs, I think each line you want to give an emphasis or a punchline. Sometimes you use filler lyrics, but I think you want to put how much ever you can in one single line. So from this song, I really like this line. So what does that mean to you, Achu? That was a really beautiful line.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, sometimes I was more of a poet than a singer-songwriter or something like that. I actually even wanted to write a book for a very long time, but then realized we don't have the time, or maybe the talent is missing as well. But sometimes it's much easier to bring that in 4 minutes, becomes a song, like a whole book. So when it comes to lyrics, I think I write a lot because I read a lot in high school, and reading has been a source. All the literature from Greece as well to Asian literature, and if you go line by line, the Cheki mitonana, jamsogi, tsoji, your eyes hold the entire color of the ocean. So precedes that actually some more lines that add to that line is like, we don't have to understand the whole big world, how complicated, from the religion, from ideologies, from how to live your life, how not to live your life. There are so many things, but nobody actually has figured it out, how to, this is the exact perfect way you should live. It's a question, right? And so sometimes you won't find those big answers anywhere, but you see it in the eyes of somebody you love. You see the whole ocean, and that's enough. It's something like that.
I see the horizons.
In that love, it's enough. And after that, it goes to Kera Misa. So it's okay. Kera Misa Gachina Hamaguru, and it continues like that. Tubra tupsani, dari punchi len rutup. Sometime, some days, it's okay. You just breathe, and that's enough. You're done for the day. You don't need to achieve. You don't need to compete. And get those medals or certificates or prove anything. Sometimes it's just enough. Yeah, I think.
Nice one.
Can I ask one more question?
Go.
Yeah.
Because I think in most of Achu's music videos, on the song title, there's always this one person's name called Akira. And I'm really curious to know who this guy is, because I think most of the Bhutanese people who watch your music, I think they heard of the name, but they don't really know who this person is, because Achu has collaborated with him a lot of times, even Majo Majo.
Okay.
So Akira is an American guy whose friendship with Bhutan and our music as well. So we started collaborating. He's a music producer, and he specializes mostly on the EDM, the new techno music. So exactly, because as we go back to what I said about the break and the shift, I believe every 5 or 6 years, the whole taste, the spectrum of music art changes. So when we started, it was the alternative rock. We had this band culture that was really thriving, and look at what's happening right now. It's one single guy with some laptop music, and then they do it brilliantly. And the music itself changed. It's getting less acoustic. Sometimes the more electronic music is coming in. Nothing wrong with that, as long as people like it. So Akira he brings that to the table. So he brings all of those electronic beats, the EDM synths, and he has helped with a lot of our good songs. He's behind Jarim, he's behind Age, he's behind Wildflowers with Karma Idenobu, and he's also helped produce this This one. Oh, in the Dilna bro.
How did you meet?
My band member Yishi Jamso, he connected through, I think, Instagram, or because Akira at that time was already making some music, and then he decided to visit Bhutan one day. He came with his dad, and then that's how our collaboration started to take, solid shape. And also, his mom is Japanese, so he understands
that name more.
Asian elements. Yeah.
Of course.
Okay, sorry I had to interrupt because I forgot that my friend sent something over for us as a surprise.
Wow.
Okay, so.
Wow. And we're gonna eat that right here.
Yeah, please. He wants
Cookies and cream.
They want to review. So
Berries and
this is called. I don't want to butcher it. Filipino dessert, me.
Oh, from Manila.
From Manila, some jamming dessert.
Cream bliss.
So
Mango man.
Thank you.
thank you.
Cookies
to
and creams.
We love desserts. So this
We love desserts.
Dessert is called a mango sago.
Yeah.
A mango sago. Mango sago. Check the berries and cream. I think I got the mango sago. Other got
Cookies and cream.
cookies and cream. This is good for digestion and gluten free. So please try at least from on behalf of We Love Desserts. Yeah, we can try some of all this because I think you're telling me this is a special one. And this shimi tika china mashi.
It's got Anina special mango.
Anina special. Sorry, my bad. Okay, but you can all try it. Oh.
Wow, that's nice.
Yeah, I thought I'd try this. This is a special one. Mango sour. Kachina mashi. Yeah. Engage me. What's this?
Strawberry.
Very good.
Strawberry what?
Like a fruit cocktail. Looks pretty.
But anyways, thank you to We Love Desserts at the review.
Thank you. This is great.
Shimemet.
At the base in Timpu.
Yes, good for digestion and gluten free.
Mango gishima.
Let's get back. Okay. Let's dive back in. Where were we? Katlisiga.
Akira.
Okay. Akira ko lap chmo shaba.
Yeah.
You need follow up
He
that.
came to Bhutan.
Connect me.
They
Yeah.
connected through that.
Yes.
Yes, but after yes, let's. Sorry.
Yeah, and still, it's, the way we work, because he lives in Seattle, in the US, and last time on the New York trip, he came to New York as well. But the way we work, because being on the other side of the world, so whenever we have some new songs, sometimes he initiates, he starts with, he has this, wonderful track, maybe something can be born out of it. And sometimes I have a song and the tune and everything else, the lyrics, and I tell him I want something like this, And then he understands very clearly, and then there's this huge blend. So it has given a lot of good songs. So taking a moment to thank Akira Nair as well.
How often? Which song was the first collab?
It was Jarim.
Oh, okay.
Oh, Wildflower, sorry. Wildflower is older. Wildflower is older.
Chigi, I noticed because producer tag go.
No. When I heard that song first time, beat different. The title na
Yes.
Then I thought, okay, he must be a producer.
Yeah, in the last 3 or 4, more than 4 or 5, I think. In every titles, we put him as well.
Okay, now speaking of the music producer, how about the video producer? How did you and Junior guys connect? Because I heard that after you approached them.
Yes.
So how come you wanted to work with them?
Yeah, so the music, most of our first album and the second album, the entire process, I took it personally. Which means we filmed it. I edited it as well. I took it to the table, color it as well. But then sometimes out of the third, everything began to look almost like same. There was this always, because as an editor, same editor who works across different projects, but still you have So I wanted to try something different, and I was checking around on the YouTube of so many upcoming filmmakers, videographers that we have in the country, and also the quality. And then I found the Junior Studios, and I did not directly approach them. I was deciding, I checked all of their videos, from even in the description, the kind of cameras that were used to verify. And because the Majo Majo was something to do with more of storytelling, and I wanted experienced guy as well to understand story as well. And then they did amazing job. Thank you as well.
Thank you, Atta.
Which video did you like from them?
Kongiti Ngar was amazing. Zenam was pretty good, and what's that in the field, There's,
Feel na Kazimira.
no, there's
Wonderland man.
the junior guy is singing, Yeah.
I don't remember.
About it.
Marno. Okay, interesting. Okay, now we can maybe since we live in the present, we can take a little step back more. Let's talk about that time. I know because I did a little research, but then maybe some people who don't know the story behind Misty Terrace. No,
The name,
yeah, the name and also how the band formulated. So maybe Atta can give us a little
humble
brief
beginnings.
of the humble beginnings of how the name came, how the band came, and how it all started.
Plus, I'll go back even more.
Okay, even further also.
I started singing when I was, 12 years old. I was performing. I remember having that guitar. I studied much of my primary and high school in the East. And I went to Kaleng, and Kaleng has a great music scene as well. The cultural club thing, that runs.
Culture club.
Yeah, and we have to take care of the piano and the guitar. And just from the class 9, I was assigned. I got this space, the opportunity as well to undertake a lot of music projects, and I was singing, performing, but not really writing or composing songs at that time. It was more of singing other people's songs, getting lost in some of the greatest songs of our time at that time, coming from everywhere in the world. And then everything started to take shape from college. So that's where I met my band. And one of the band actually I met in high school as well. So a band is a collection of not just professional or auditioned, specialized different instrument players. It's actually our friends. So we have sticked that long. And in college, we had all this free time, You're suddenly allowed to keep long hairs, make girlfriends. You have the liberty to write songs, produce. And right at that time, I think, the whole social media revolution started. The YouTube, Facebook. And then this gave us the direct platform, Because at that time, I remember in Bhutan, to be a musician, to be the next big name in the music industry, you have to go through that hierarchy of the Bhutanese movie industry. You have to sing, maybe be an assistant somewhere. Then your song has to be selected by a producer, director, fit into a movie. You become a playback singer, and all of those names, all of those big names before us. You go to Rinchen Namge, Jimin Yuduk, even Ugen Pandey, who was at that time, it was his time, and then he was there in the industry. And if you don't have somebody in the movie industry, or if you don't start through that ladder, and going through that ladder means you don't have much liberty. You have to sing songs written for you.
Bollywood stars,
Yeah, almost.
You need PR in the industry, otherwise
Exactly.
me too guy, no one's will notice you.
Yeah.
No, okay.
And when we came up, the new guy in the industry, it was not really encouraged. Because whenever it is about the industry, it's about their own people, they put it up, The new guy,
Mafia.
not really welcome because they want their own industry. It's like, what do you call it? The empirical name, that to their own brand, to break out of the circle is pretty difficult. So it was not really encouraged. So we had a hard time. And when our songs, first time when we tried for the movie industry, it was like, they would say that, I think it was some sort of exploitation as well. I have to say it today. Because now I've entered the safe zone where I don't really care much. So they said,
right?
and because I care for the young people, and today I really exert it to the young people, to the young amazing generation of new talents. When they go, you have to pay, you have to get paid. So when we started, there were some producers, they have the same line, that we'll do more in future. And we never got paid, most of the time. And I look back and I realize, that's where it was quite messy. And that's the reason why it was stagnant and never growing. And we're also talking about the music generation in Bhutan, where it did not move out of the mountains. It was just here. And today I tell everybody, whenever even if you're new, you're going somewhere into different ventures, or people want you for some events, if they like your songs or something, even if it's a little bit, you have to charge, get paid,
Yeah.
And don't ever fall for future na this is the exact word.
Dialogue. every person in the industry go one.
Yeah.
Oh, and they're not big.
And we fell for that, and and when I look back, I that's not right, I think. And there should be some morality in art, in how way people deal with new artists. And we're talking about the industry where they are paid, and we know they made money at that time as well. So and if the story was otherwise in future, there was a chain of events, La Mambio, but it never happened. It was just once. So that's why I warn, and I tell young artists, don't fall for that. If you have that quality, if people love your music, if they really want it, you will find your way. You have to get paid. And so we started, and thanks to the YouTube and all, we did not have to go through this hierarchy. They gave us this wonderful shortcut. You just make your music and press the upload button.
And it's up to the people to decide.
And people picked us up. That's our story actually. And it was the first time happening in this country, and many others, I don't know. But at that time, people did not know how to subscribe or comment in YouTube. So we have to tell them, and that came to rescue. And then people loved it, because art is all about people. It's not industry oriented. You don't make music for industry, or you don't even make music for other artists. You make it for people. You fill the blank in people's life. You give meaning to people's life, or you entertain. Anything to it's about the audience, the respect there. So audience pick it up, and that's how I think we started, and we did not have to go through that chain.
Yeah. So Yonfula was Atta's breakout song from that era.
Yeah.
So how was that shift pre Yonfula to after Yonfula? How was that shift like?
We made it. I mean, we did not even have very good studios back then. So Yonfula was just recorded on a laptop. And we made it in a hostel room, and then just let it go. And I think it picked up. And also because it was, I must say, if not wrong, but I don't know if anybody's even studying or recording the advent of Bhutanese modern music industry. But that's, I think many people said that was the start of the first original music, Then you keep going on, and then you keep singing. And at that time, we go back to the scene in Thimphu, all those bars and pubs, where bands are singing songs, mostly cover songs. I will not name the names, not name the bands, but people were singing cover songs. People were listening to songs from India, from the West. It was amazing. I mean, the vibrancy was there. But then look at today. Look at today. You go around. Original songs have taken over. YouTube, our content. We are one of the best. I think in the whole Himalayan belt, we have done really well in producing original content. And I'm really proud of that, to be part of that shift early on.
But you didn't mention about why the studio of Misty Terrace came in.
Oh, sorry. Just keeps going on.
This is the charm of the podcast. But then what the story of the title, the name, Misty Terrace?
Yeah, Misty Terrace, we decided on the name in college. So most of the time, every artist is a dreamer. You have those times when you think a lot, and you wanted a name that would represent your music, not just your music, but who you are and what you will do. Because we were almost thinking of a career, and we wanted a name that encompasses our whole vision. And so Misty Terrace actually means mist, all those clouds. It's like I think you have to imagine yourself somewhere in the rice golden field, autumn terraces, and sometimes you don't sleep. You're drinking the whole night, and somewhere in 5:30 a.m. or you go out, and you see that everything is rising, the mist about the golden hue of the terraces, and it's lifting up. Everything. It's like the world is frozen there. And they lift you up. They rise higher and higher above the rice fields. So it's like what music did to us. They lift you up. They float you. They take you up to some higher dimension. I think it happens when you listen to some kind of your favorite music. You're like
transported.
Yeah, it's a transcendental as well. You go there. It takes you to a different zone, that place, some kind of space. So that's why we decided that we are going to be the Misty Terrace, and we'll try every songs would do that to people.
Very, very deep. Damn. Okay, Nola, you have any questions?
Yes. I was listening to some of Acho's songs before he got here, and I realized that Acho Gitsina, since all through your long career, you hardly use any English in your songs. So, kachibe zonghanara amchi ngachi nyen kutsube kachibe amia Acho Gishabda teka. Why do you put more emphasis in singing songs in Zongha and Shashop also?
It's more to do with being a Bhutanese band, and also World has enough English songs, I think, and also because our original content just started to take its shape, and so it's our expression, everything else also is much easier when we do it in Dzongkha, and originality is also not lost. And it's beautiful language to sing, to celebrate, and we are a musical country, Much of our inspiration comes from the musical traditions of the country, the gorgums that we do around the fireplace, the songs that have no names. It's passed down through oral traditions, and it's alive. And I have found Dzongkha is a very beautiful language to sing.
Actually, when you think about it, sorry to cut you off. One time that the Achugi songs, one time that I think Rixar was getting familiarized with the public, and Ouchwing was doing the thing in bebop. But I think Yongpula technically was the first bebop song in Women. It's more popish melody. It has a verse, a chorus, a hook, and the ending. Structurally, so maybe that was the first bebop song. If you think about it. Not much, but who knows? My theory, someone can tell me wrong. But with that being said, so actually, local tradition, most social culturally inspired, But in terms of, because your song is very modern, what were your modern inspirations?
The inspiration, the background was cultural. But then we were right at the time when Bhutan was transitioning, everything was changing, internet was coming in. And if we kept singing songs in a way that were being sung before, I think then this revolution would not have happened. And the young people, because of the internet exposure, were listening to songs, rock songs, amazing songs. So it was time that Bhutan needed to get into that stage as well. So, but rock music scene was actually pretty good there, because we're also very close to North India, where like districts like Kalimpong, Darjeeling, Shillong, where it's very vibrant. So that's where the time was also pretty right, and we had the audience segment that was actually very ripe and right for that music as well.
Sorry, random. Okay. This is the frat house. I always tell every time we do the podcast, every person randomly walks in. We don't know who, but they always walk in. Jin. Okay. Sorry, Arthur. Please continue.
What is it?
I'm just artists. Me, Arthur, like inspire. You said mention Coldplay. Any bands which were like?
Oh yes.
And also, not to say, it was a different time, but every country has their own generation of golden artists, and I took a lot of inspiration from our own as well. So I listened to a lot of Ugen Pandey's songs. He was like way back in high school, and Namgi Jiks was doing well as well. When we grew up, some of those, his the vibrating melody was pretty trending. So all of those, indirectly in some ways shaped how we produce our music as well. So we always thank them as well, and huge respect.
Interesting. Yeah, notice what that. Before I cut you off, you're about to say something, man.
No, I was just adding that.
And in that note, if I continue, because I just talked, because this is something that I wanted to talk, and about the thing called generation, because every era, every generation thinks that their generation is the most golden, the most beautiful. I think it's something to do with human psychology. You have that thing. No generation in any kind of history from the Renaissance, even pre-Europe also, nobody will, even the worst generation will say that we lived in the one of the, everybody, because this, like, I think every human is entitled to that thought, I think. And there's some, when we started, I'm again going back, there's some singers who would consider that our music is not really not Bhutanese enough. We had to go through such confrontations as well. And they would think that their generation, their music is the only real music of Bhutan, original music of Bhutan. And I see that happening today. Our age now would say that and as we talk right now, the pop and EDM is taken over. It's all over the peak. And some of our generation, my generation, people who consume music as well, who make music as well, today say that our generation is the best. These young kids can rap, talk, and we cannot say that. Every generation is different, and that's what I say, And I tell them the story. When we started, it happened the same. They would not even, rope us in for these big projects. And it was there. So it's about the adaptability. You cannot, if you cannot bend, you break. So you have to respect that. Every generation, the taste is different. The time we live is different. So, and if we are to debate on the authenticity of what is really true Bhutanese music, true Bhutanese culture, even at that time, how can we say that was true? We go back 200 more years back before then. It was again more different. You go 500 years before that, it's different. What's traditional is up to what's going on around. It's debatable. We have to change. We have to bend. And that's completely unstoppable. So we have to embrace that.
Now you want to finally say what you want to say.
Just add beneath.
Please add beneath.
I just wanted to say the fact that Achu is putting an emphasis in writing Zongha lyrics, as because sometimes it gets lost in translation. But it's not necessarily the same. So ani take the Achu tabi also ani Achu's first song. I think Achu really put I think one of the reasons why people can relate to your songs is because they can relate it to that place. Then you can visualize these places. And also, I don't know if you remember Timpu Babisa.
I was
from
the
same
that
song. Yeah.
Because
the fact that Achu is putting these songhang to big landmarks, I think it's also a good thing to have to relate our Bhutanese places with.
Yeah.
So really nice.
Like you mentioned, because Nola also, he's being modest, but he likes to put a lot of Zongha phrases in his songs. Then I'm not really good at Zongha, but actually, it makes you look it up on DDC app. Then at least you become interested back in the language. At least for me. So even there's a small portion of the population who thinks like that more, it'll improve them at least. I know, man. And like Nola mentioned, need to more. So that song really related with me when I grew up. Timpu Babsan, I could imagine everything. So
you always keep bringing in Acho. I'm not really used to people calling me Acho there. But by the way, what time did you? I mean, when was the time you guys listened to our first music? Where were you? High school or college?
I think class 12 or first year college.
My school there.
Okay.
We were really blowing up the school. Everyone was listening to the songs.
Yeah. It was a breath of fresh air. I think animes, Thimphu or Bhutan, I won't say Thimphu, Bhutan in general, this younger generation, transition time that actually songs we were. Because we were listening to Bruno Mars, we were listening to Lady Gaga, which was still new. Right. Back then, still more people were listening to the theater and Riksar.
True,
And then more Bebop, more foreign shabin at least youth, but it was just starting. And then actually music songs the transition fully assorted. Yes. And now it's like people, if you ask what songs they're listening to, I think it's now more than 50-50 also, maybe 60-40, 60 local songs and all.
That's true,
Anyway, which is very interesting.
Yes.
And like Bebop revolution is all independently driven.
Yeah.
There's no label.
Indeed.
There's no industry. Give me this is also.
Me.
There's actually people to guide all. We're talking to Ouchwing. We're talking to other artists. Like you can scope. That's what I'm talking about.
It is. We've done pretty well.
Now it's so easy. You can go on YouTube, find a beat, and you can find a laptop or a phone, put a vocal on it, and then now you can create music so easily.
Yes. We don't even have an association to talk about that.
So, like that time I asked you before camera. Since we shoot on the topic of music, I watched you interview in BBS back then. We did more Oro hair. Signature Oro hair. Now
I lost that.
Now half Oro. But anyways, the Afro hair, you're working at YGF.
Yes.
You're saying the music industry that we're almost there, but not there. I still need to work at a day job. I still need to depend on gigs. And then I see good future, but we're not sure we're ready yet.
Yeah.
That was 9 years ago, or 10 years ago, I'm not sure.
Wow.
And now we're here today. So how has your mindset changed from that young Tandin then to now?
I think it has changed a lot, and I can proudly say that it's doing pretty well right now. And thanks to music, thanks to original music, thanks to being bold, thanks to being true to your voice, and rather than just chasing some temporary fames or popularity. I mean, which is also necessary. It happens, but secondary. And thanks to music, music became like a visa to our world. Traveling for Bhutanese, we know how hard traveling is. So thanks to music, I've traveled to more than 49 countries now.
Wow.
And rest is far away, but we talk about the nearby region. We have done commercial concerts in Sikkim, in Arunachal, in Tawang, and especially going there and performing in front of people who don't speak your language, but they know your songs line by line, you know. And that's a kind of a fulfillment that you won't get anywhere. So I think the industry has come to shape. It's very independent still, but it's very strong. I think the reason it's gone well, it's established today, is because it's independent. Because I felt that anywhere in the world, associations, industries, in art, it does not work really well. Because art has to be liberal, free. It has to be out of the cage. Yeah. Then only you find the space to bloom. So that's why we saw how many singers are there in the country today. Every house has made one music video.
Every house.
It's part of a music video.
Correct me if I'm wrong. If you're watching, no,
Somebody must be there who's done some part of a music video. And I was there on a last trip, and people who have visited Bhutan many times, and they followed some accounts, some prominent accounts, and we still know how the rest of the world is, how the time here in Bhutan, our working culture, we lived in a more relaxed pace, and how different, especially in Australia or in the US, how people work on a very scheduled time zone, very less time for passion or family, or they have to schedule it months ahead. And then they say that, you know, what's going on these days in Bhutan? Everybody is singing and dancing. Who is working? They're telling me. And I'm like, oh, maybe that's why we're known as the GNH country, happy country. And that stuck a line actually. What he said. Who is actually working? And they say everybody's on TikTok, dancing, trending. Who is working in your country? So it's indicator that
But
people
when
are.
you say that, why does that mean we're not working there? Singing is actually a job, job.
Yeah.
My podcasting is also my job.
That's a good thing. Because it is working. People are celebrating. I think the art is blooming. It's an indicator, you know, and musically rich. And art signifies how a country is doing. Anywhere, you know, we look at history, wherever art has bloomed, it means that the whole country as a nation is happy, is progressing. There's people to celebrate, to sing, you know, and to romanticize everything else. So it's an indicator of the whole kingdom doing well, I think.
Okay, Ancho. Now, same like the interview 10 years ago. Now, I'll ask you something which you want to look back 10 years from now. So, how do you see the music industry now? You've already explained, but what do you see, let's say, 10 years in the future? Maybe if it's a time capsule, you can look back again in 2035 and then maybe think if your thought has stayed the same, changed to better, or you didn't live up to your expectation. What do you think is going to happen 10 years from now?
Looking at the trend right now, the talents that we have, it's amazing. The young people, how they sing, how they freely express. So I think it's going to do pretty well, much better. And I see Bhutanese songs, Bhutanese music going even more broader, beyond our mountains. And because we have the advantage of the Bhutan brand, you know. And sometimes when I sing in places like Indonesia, when I sing, I have like 2 or 3 songs, and the singing part is okay, they enjoy it. But most of the time, the other segment that I have, the time that they allot me, I have to spend it telling about Bhutan, because they have never heard about Bhutan. So it's the Bhutan brand that will, I think, help and push, and we have that respect from the international community, the interest and the support. So combined with the local talents, I think 10 years I see it getting even more established and bigger.
Okay. Maybe by then people right now they're trying to figure out what Bhutan is.
Yeah.
What are the people? What is our deal? Maybe in 10 years they'll know shape, and now they'll just enjoy whatever it is.
Let's say we become the next South Korea is the one.
Yeah, but actually you
Side
mentioned
with the South Korean.
I love South
Side.
Korean music. But actually you said man like English independent meaning more
Yeah.
we've done so well. But
Yeah.
the K-pop industry is like globalized as well. You
Isn't
know
it?
why? Because it's so nicely
Yeah.
manufactured. The dance move lit chip, the look lit chip.
Indeed.
So obviously independent music is beautiful. It's,
Yeah.
it's so from personalized soul memo, but also manufactured as shimmer.
It is.
I love the way
Yeah.
the production quality,
Yeah.
camera angles, everything.
Yeah,
more.
everything is
More.
perfect.
Oh my god! And I wish like, yeah, I think
Everything was
I'm not saying we
perfect.
should do everything like that, but I wish like we could like
Yes, yes.
produce and manufacture.
Yes, yes.
Bhutan,
Yeah. But that I think should come in a later stage.
That
And also, yeah, because in Korea we're talking about a different market segment, even by size or the because the funding mechanisms, everything is completely different. So Bhutan, I think now maybe in the next 5 years or so, we will need that industry standards where agents come in. You sign contracts from makeup to where the artist will go, what to drink, not to drink, everything get written down. I think that will go well. But 10 years ago or 5 years ago, right now in Bhutan. Nobody would even want to be an agent, first of all, because they know the market. We're talking about the smallest market in the entire world, and where art is taken for granted, where art is taken as a free thing. When our first and second album, even our own circle of friends, when we release it, nobody would think about paying or supporting. It's like, why Bluetooth, email na free tanda music. It's like music is to be freely shared, but now it's changing because of monetization. People understand it better. Also, art is taken as a serious career, and artists will also start to demand and then have their position and say on the monetary matters.
Okay, maybe we'll see that. Maybe more P-pop band in 10 years. More. All right, let's transition them on. Atta is also not just a singer. He made his debut in a very recently critically acclaimed movie. And we watched it. I watched it in premiere. I really enjoyed Ajo's acting. I love it. Premiere, Bhutanese premiere.
Cinema thing.
Cinema. And then I liked your transition from becoming a singer to an actor. I could believe you're a Gilong.
Yeah, you were Tashi Muming. The character's name is Tashi.
Gilong Tashi. So let's hear the story of how you got involved in the project, and then from there, then you talk about the filming process and how it all went.
I always wanted to be an actor as well. I wanted to be a filmmaker, I think, because music, this whole art, the songwriting, or whether it be painting or poet, it's just, if somebody can put it under one umbrella, it does the same job. It's a bridge. It's a human expression. Everything is there. So I always wanted to be part of some really good movies. I mean, not really judging other movies, but then, and Pao has done a really great job in his first film. And when he announced the second film, just wanted to give it a try. So we auditioned. And I believe when I auditioned, I was not offered the role of the monk, because it was early set for somebody else. And I was offered the Benji, Tandin Sonam's role. And that script was, I remember now, that script was given to me actually, yeah. And then when we had some rounds of audition, Pao and his wife decided, okay, that's not for me. The monk has to be me. So they decided overnight, and Pao told me that, are you willing to cut your hair? And as a monk, you have to, right? So I said, give me a night, I'll decide. Get back to you tomorrow. And I decided, I'll do it. It was a big shift, and as long as you're not willing to take that big step, nothing big in life happens if you don't do that. And because I believed in the story, it was wonderful. It's about, it's a Bhutanese story to the rest of the world. And then the rest is pre-production, where we have to do the script reading around the tables. We sit around, and not on your ropes, and my hair was still like that. And finally, the shooting in Ura, it took, I think, more than a month. And it was amazing, because the way that they film it, the way that they allow their characters to breathe from their own self as well. And I especially love the dialogue, the lines. It was not really written down, so we have the liberty to, as long as you deliver the point, you have the freedom to say what you like, even do some extra lines or say it in a shorter version. And I love that part. They make the character, they make you come alive. your presence is also there. It's not just the character that the writer built. So I had amazing time shooting it in Bhutan and wearing the monk's robe. And just to remember, the funny part was the first time shaving the hair. And at the Ura village, they were, I think, the production team was pretty huge. And there was a monks and the lamas. And when I walk around, everybody would take off their their hat and bow down, and I was like, "Gelong mama mewa." No. But then this guy said, "Iru meru, it's a respect to your rov, sangegi namza." And then I had to be careful wherever I go then in the shoot. And I remember the funny part was the first time I went to the toilet. And using the and they would say that Sangegi Namza, you cannot touch it, drag it, you have to keep it clean. And I had to call my friends, and some of them at Karchutasang in Pumtang. How do you guys do the toilet thing? And they said you have to wrap it up all over your head. Respect, cannot let it touch down. And I had to do it the first time. It was amazing. Imagine that. Yeah, it was awkward as well, but later on it's amazing how humans, the adaptability that we have in each of us. Later on it fit me so naturally. I was so comfortable in that. And after the filming was over, to take it off and wear the normal pants, I felt completely different at that. So
did you have to study the monks, like when you walk out the monk Tashigiro? Did you try to study how monks acted? Did you observe, or
we live in a Buddhist kingdom and grew up with so many friends who are monks or ex-monks. So it was actually, I still have so many monks friends. They play football with the monks team sometimes. So I also have some very good friends who are monks. So it was quite natural. We know. And talking about our Bhutanese house, we have rituals, our uncles, and everybody, we have this going on. So to play that monk's role, I think it was quite, we already we know what a monk how the monk would walk, how they would sit. So I actually, by that time, I already knew much. Yeah.
But remember that? Which gilo? Do you have a gilo you don't know in your life? Cheating was shit, man.
Everybody knows a gelo.
Everyone knows a gilo. Okay. Actually, another question, Danny. Now, since you've been part of the music video, you told me, like writing stories, and you studied film in college. Actually, like next number, do you feel like you want to make a movie yourself?
Well, yes. I definitely want to make a movie. I have actually 3 or 4 scripts written over the last.
You wrote it yourself?
Yes.
Oh, nice.
But then I have to choose, because we might not make many movies, first of all, because I've seen that the first one really matters. So you have to choose which one to go. So let's say I'm just waiting to, let's say I've not really figured out some parts of it, how to go about. So I've really felt it's the same line of art, just like songs, just like paintings. Okay. So as long as you have that idea in you, and it's sometimes also your like a responsibility, like a duty. Because if you have something in you, some sort of idea, I think it's your right to give it to the people. Let them judge, let them, take something from it. And
what kind of stories do you want to tell? Like
it's a Bhutan story.
Bhutan story, obviously. Yeah. But like coming to the Thimpu, or someone trying to go out, or love story, or a family story, or a cousin story.
More of a family story, I think. Yeah, that's what I have in mind. And also it's because as a storyteller, Bhutan has this soft spot in the international community, and thanks to our movies that are traveling around the world, and our music that are going right now in our nearby regions. So Bhutan has so many stories that the world needs to hear. That's my primary motive, I think. And the world needs to hear us. And that space has suddenly right now opened up, and we're in that position. So we talk about the last 2 years, how many movies, documentaries that have gone around, made headlines. And it's different every time we see a movie from Bhutan, the weight it carries. And then even in the theater, I remember we had this premiere in Telluride, somewhere in the Colorado mountains with Pao. We were sitting there, and the time that I was watching myself on the screen was very less. I was actually thinking how people were taking it to every line. And because every audience segment is culturally different, so how they understand, how they react is different. Somebody would laugh at this scene. In other countries, they would be just damn serious. So I learned that the Bhutan as an image, I think, is very essential. I think that's a beautiful thing that we have right now. It works in cinema, it works in music, it works in art, and we at the premiere, how they would appreciate just knowing that you guys filmed it in Bhutan and you guys came all the way from Bhutan. They're like, oh, we get this extra attention, extra appreciation, just knowing that you're from Bhutan. It's there.
Bhutan, the stories popular. Actually, but sometimes I feel like the stories we tell to the outside people more. Actually, Nanzing me to say, this is good. For them, it's not more.
Yes.
If I ever make a movie, I want to find a story which is like, where I need to do here and Paya and not the last. That's my dream.
That's true.
More. Because Nagi's story, like for example, like Lunana is a very simple story which I think most people can relate with.
Yeah.
But for Chilips, it's like, way,
Big deal.
my God, woo, Simon, it's over there.
Yes.
So I think you need to find that blend.
Yeah.
So, Achuma Pachira movies, like what do you watch in your past time? Like usually in our podcast, we say you can pick your 4 favorite movies. So if you could pick
Top of the head.
yeah, whether it be all time or then Abatabe, Gago, 4 movies, please mention.
I watch a lot of movies. I think every movies, all of movies. A huge Hollywood fan and the independent art house as well. But because my favorites are too many, so I'll just go with the one all-time favorite. It's the Troy.
No.
It's also because it's rich in literature as well. The Greek gods and Athens. Yeah. And also because
Brad Pitt.
Brad Pitt was there. And at that time, we're talking about 2003, the filming. It was one of the most epic movies.
It was nice.
The battle scenes were one of the biggest we ever saw at that time. And
Achilles versus Hector, he fights in Tajikistan.
yes.
All for a woman.
And they 10 years of war on the ringing plains of Troy, they say, for the one face of Helen.
We cannot say. Wars were raged. Villages were destroyed more. Generations were lost just for one woman more.
Yeah.
Homer, Iliad mo.
Iliad and Odyssey, yeah. And Odyssey is another long thing, because not just 10 years, but if you put in Odyssey, it's another 10 years. They come back, and at that time, no cars, planes. You talk about how many that journey it took, and it's another story. I think it's some stories that are eternal. It spans across humanity, different generations, because it connects. And also because I love it because they have the divine connection of the Greek gods, And
In the books, the god this intervene beyond more.
before that, with the Joshua.
But Quran style I never do like image Ramayana Ramayana also Sita given lady. Sita mega.
No. Meme.
Sita man.
Not just Sita, okay?
For especially for Sita.
Lanka nam alam devat rakshas this.
Okay, let's move
But
on.
it's also the end question is that have to fill all of these blanks is about the meaning, I think, about the beauty. Because that's what sets us apart from other species. It's our ability to love, create stories, find meanings, That's why human life is special. And Helen of Troy, the movie is all about the human quest for love, for beauty. And if something like that is not there, and in the movie it's just Helen, it's just the beauty. But we can talk about art, it's also beauty. Songs also beauty, If it's not there, then life is bland, it's dull, Doesn't make sense. If you have nothing to chase, something superficial like that, then, then what are we doing as humans?
Find your Helen. Find your Sita. Okay. Watch your next movie, get you, Shimi.
Don't remember.
Yeah,
Which one now?
Name 3 movies you really enjoyed or you really like.
It's hard because I watch a lot. I watch
Every time we change our 4 movies.
Shrek.
recently. Shrek?
Shrek is beautiful.
Maybe 90s movies.
I'm okay with the Pirates of the Caribbean as well.
Oh.
A huge fan of Captain Jack Sparrow.
Okay.
And he's almost like my idol when it comes to acting and even in real life. Some parts. Yeah. And he's amazing. It's It's a very epic movie.
Actually, epic movies is game.
Yeah.
Big scale, high, big productions. Which means actually movie shuma mo yalla ma juni me nga ko.
Epic tales.
Memo epic tales is game. But Bhutan also I think we have a lot of epic tales memo. But we cannot right now ready yet to portray that in cinema. Okay, actually horror movie gaga.
Not really, I can't.
Oh, you don't like
Can't watch it all. Maybe I like, but maybe too much imagination, and I'd go crazy. I would not be able to handle it.
comedy movies?
Comedy is amazing, yeah.
Okay, comedy, maybe name one favorite comedy. Yeah.
Comedy's Hangover is amazing. That's because we live that most of the time. You guys,
Last weekend.
we have Bhutanese Vegas everywhere.
Interesting. Then last one more. Series though, series. Any series? You like?
Oh, series. Recently, I've been watching the Korean series. Because the romance is amazing. Crash Landing on You.
Oh,
So amazing, so good. The geopolitics context.
진짜야.
나 레진배 맞다. 나 하고의 스토리.
She lands in the.
Actually, she crash lands in North Korea. And I love it not just because of the romance, it's the geopolitical context. They portray the life in North Korea in some different ways, you know. And historically, they try to bring some accuracy as well, because some of the people who, you know, who escaped into South, they were part of this filming. So they told it's like that in North Korea, you know. So there's a huge contrast of the North and the South. And then suddenly some rich, beautiful lady from the South is in North, and then she's experiencing that bizarre difference of everything, from the way people eat to the diet, the potatoes and the rice. So it's a geopolitical context that's been put. I found that very sharp as well. And the romance is amazing. She's just so beautiful. Her name is because I forgot her.
I'll look it up. I think it's IU.
But I know her own screen name. It's Yoon Seri. Yoon Seri.
Ah, my God.
Can't forget that name.
I'll never forget it now. Oh, it's very interesting. Well, more.
And I've watched other drama series as well. Like, of course, Game of Thrones is amazing.
Epic.
Yeah.
My favorite epic.
Which house do you support?
Oh, always Winterfell.
Winterfell, come on. Who doesn't support Winterfell there? Lannister coming high. You Lannister. You like Lannister there?
Tywin Lannister, Tyrion Lannister.
Actually, don't call him.
Lannister?
Actually, Lannister, don't call you.
Lannister always pays his debts. Lannister zu bangkita bertiet. Zongan zogo ise.
Jon Snow, Jon Snow 기울라, Jon 꼭지.
아니 짝이 튀고 nga 주님의 Iron Throne.
The Iron Throne. 7 Kingdoms.
But I spoiled my baby. Otherwise, I ran. Like ending last season,
Oh, the final one, yeah. It's because I think it's always no director can do the last ending scene, can satisfy everybody else. It's pretty hard.
Attack on Titan scene.
But ngai theory, like how I could have done it. Ngai the one anyway which so dark and Night King Gechu first, but fighting Mihalam Shichu. Then the final fight for human versus what do you call the White Walkers.
Oh, the Ram.
Oh, battle for the realm. It's not about the Iron Throne. It's not about its existence.
Yeah.
To defeat all pure evil. Gara size the evil as you do, but
Arya Chigilansi. That's pretty. You
No,
don't
please,
need an army,
please.
man. You have Arya Mo.
Gomatsu Arya Gimo.
One-shotted Night King me.
Mask will help you. What did she use it for? Nothing.
She one-shotted Night King me.
One shot Night King.
Respect.
The spoiler tanjing though.
Yeah, sorry, my bad. Night King, the important meat story. Na.
Everybody has watched it now. This Game of Thrones. Many has watched it.
Okay, Atta. Anchilago a little bit now. Let's lighter question. Then we'll go back. Atta, you have a lot of music videos, and you've gotten the typical music video Kiti. More.
Yeah.
A lot of pretty girls from the Misty Terrace also I saw in more.
Right.
And we got what do you call recently the Majo Majo boom. I'm sorry, I'm not familiar with it. Dadru. And so when it comes to your music video, what do you call what's that? Kiti sounds too rugged. How to say it? Music video heroine, face of the music video selection process. What goes in your head?
Just scroll down from Instagram and TikTok. That's it most of the time. And then you stumble upon some post. Oh, that could fit into my next song, or she would look amazing in the slow mo. You know, turn around when she look at me, or when she stare at the sky or something like that. So most of the time it's from social media. And most of our casting is, we always write, we actually don't know them, it's our first time. We just tell them that we have this next song coming up, it has this, not much of an acting, slow-mo, and would you be interested? And it just happened like that. And it needs a pretty face as well, definitely, because there's more, I think, commercial purposes. People watch more with...
The thumbnail has
Yeah, that's just some industry.
Okay. Okay. No,
Okay. Back to acting, Acho, like any Monk and the Gun. Since you had to take a shift from the music scene to another creative platform, and some space in Mimina. So usually in music videos, actually, you have to act a lot because there's no dialogues in it. So you have to express through your body language. So sometimes we tend to, I don't know, over-express, I guess, at the moments too. So shifting over to this movie where they think that they need to do scenes more subtly, what did you have to unlearn some aspects?
Yeah. Exactly, it was a different zone, and it was about suddenly you had to memorize lines and not lyrics, so, and you had to do it. But I found music videos a little bit hard, because when you have to do it without lines conveying, and people can judge you or take you, or that same one same song, one same music video can be interpreted in 1,000 different ways. And everybody has the right to do so. But in movies, it's lines driven, the exact meaning is conveyed. So when it comes of, I think, the whole production scenario, music videos are hard because sometimes much is lost, when you write it down or when it brings into the last, post-production stage, it's lost. So in movies, it's brilliant because you have lines, and lines are directly conveyed, So it was different, but much more easier to recite lyrics than lines as a musician.
Okay. Yeah.
I wanted to talk about the dialogue scenes. That you mentioned, like during when we were talking, you mentioned that when you guys did scenes for the movie, first they would start off with the wide frame when you guys practiced the dialogues. Then they would move in closer and closer. Then they would get takes. So is there an experience like that, like on some set now?
Oh yes, yeah. That's I think technical filmmaking. And Jimmy Tenzin, I have to say his name because he was amazing in the field, how we filmed it. First of all, because actors were very, very comfortable. We also rehearsed many times. So by the time shooting happened, it was like we did not even look at the script by then because we had a lot of rehearsals at the table. It was just in you. So you go there. But he would actually, I remember the first one would be the widest possible, like in art films, where I carry with the gas tank and I walk. It's all the way from the left side of the screen to the right, and there will be no cuts. You just walk, go on. And the next would be they would bring it a little bit closer to the characters. First is they say the establishing shot or something. Yeah. So most of the time, I remember the filming trend was like that, and they would come in, and let's say if there was 3 characters. There's one scene I remember near the Choten where Benji, Tandin and the American guy Ron, 3 of us have this, and from far away, they would take one, and each one of us have our lines. So establishing shot would be 2 or 3, and if any crazy sound of some cow or some power trailer comes in, then that's cut. The sound department cancel. You have to do it all the way again. Then they come in closer and closer. And that takes a lot of time. And when you come closer, every scene has to be done from the beginning. The whole scene is enacted there. And then the final one is the super close one, the very tight shots, where the 3 characters are still standing on their points. We don't move at all, And when the camera is on me, they're just there, doing their part. Even the camera is not on them, but they have to really act because they have to engage me. And then I have to do the same thing. So filming process was like that, you from establishing white, they come in closer and closer. So we had to be there in the sun for a pretty long time. Then next would go to him, and I have to be there on his dialogues, every line. I have to engage him as well. But more relaxed when the camera is not on you. But I have to help him as well. And it's about 3 actors helping together at that point. And you cannot do like when it's your scene, you want both of them to do the same thing. But when you're done, you turn around, you give half-heartedly, make some jokes. So it was amazing.
Okay. But actually, looking at the experience, so every day, scene should be, yeah.
Oh no, more than that, because the pre-production scheduling and everything the recce was pretty good, I think. So they had everything figured it out and organized. The team was also efficient, and I have to talk about the team that came from India, because much of the camera department, technical guys were from India. And on the first day, we had these trucks, I think like 3 or 4 trucks of all these gears, and you have to see those trucks, in the back they have all these layers. It's a professional, truck that's just meant for the filming to take their gears. They have these layers, the safety boxes, everything else. And these guys, I remember how they worked. They're very efficient. And I remember Paul telling me they were the same guys who worked in The Life of Pi, the movie, in the technical team. So they take on the set, it's so sacred for them. The moment that the shooting actually process has begun, then they're damn serious about it. And I remember with Jimmy Tenzin, I remember would instruct about the lights, how to pump. They would always be on standby. Even the lights almost on standby. So anytime you have to make a call, okay, I need that lens or this light from here, some technical terms. These guys, I saw, they would run around, take it out. And in minutes, they would set it up. No delay, not like I have to find that. Or it's today, I did not bring it. Not even once. They were like always on standby. Whichever was ready, they would just bring it, set it up, and done. And everybody's happy, cast, team. And because our outdoor-driven scenes will depend on the lights as well. So they say that if little delay happened from the production, from the little technical details, then the light will change, sun will go down. And there's this word that they say it in India, like, it does not wait for anything else. The sun will not wait in your production. So when the cameraman, the principal photographer wants the light from here, wants to do it right now, the rest of the team have to bring it, instantly set it up.
But I think anime as Nache being creators, when you're getting a little bit more experience, what you realize is the cameraman, the director, photographer, the main charm, the not to frame, I think, to know how to use light. Lighting. Okay, the light with the chin, he knows how to set it up. And you can tell them how they can play with light. Now looking at like Machigi movies and cinematography and music video, I can tell instantly now if that guy is good because how he's playing with light.
Right, exactly.
Light,
and Jimmy Tenzin was amazing in that. And I was shocked. We were discussing with some of our co-actors as well, how the technical terms that were used, because he's a Bhutanese at the end, and I thought sometimes he will say that ani light, ani bomb, di chunku di. Those terms were never used. He knew the exact word. Okay, that SM66, what the term of the lights, this one from this side. The lens, of course, he's worked in many other big projects as well. And I was noticing because there's a filmmaker in me as well, not just an actor. And I was thinking how they were doing it. And he would call the shot. Okay, I'll need that light from this angle, this one from this side. And most of the time, after once he called the shot, it would not change. He would not make mistakes, that mean. It would always be the right one. Sometimes it would be like, oh, okay, I made a mistake, take this out, remove, Because he would think everything, to check the angle, light. I think that goes on in his mind much before that. So most of the time when he said, okay, we'll do this side, the light there, this would be the final set. So that, I think, takes a lot of expertise, experience, everything else.
Okay. No later question.
I also heard on set that when you guys did takes that you could have done better, like the DOP, he wouldn't tell you guys, he was always like,
yes.
He was always motivating something.
Yeah. There's encouragement as an artist, especially right at the moment in a huge production, you're surrounded by cameras, the lights, the assistants, the people looking, and some village, people standing by as well, and to scold an artist who's performing there, technically an actor in his role, would, I think, ruin the entire process. So it was nice. They were very decent, very modest, and every time we know, by the last stage of the filming, we knew if some scenes were done again and again, we knew that, okay, something was missing. But they would never tell you. They'd say, okay, just one more. Nobody made a mistake. It's just one more. It's okay, that would... I think it's very good to have that, to tell your actors like that. Then they know that, okay, nothing was wrong actually, but they just want it one more time.
Okay, with that being said, Atang, me and Norla have a dream that we want to make our own movie. Actually, we're supposed to start working on it by this month only, actually. Pre-production. Script writing. We have many ideas. We can talk about it off camera. But Benny.
Oh, that's good.
This year or next year, better Benny.
Makes on the same page. Is it
Benny,
not horror, I think, but...
It could be horror. It could be also.
Why not?
Options actually. We just want to nail it down.
Wow, that's nice.
So with that being said, since you've been in a nice large production, Bhutan, Atol, what was I saying? Acho also wants to make a movie in the future, and you've experienced directing and making music videos. What advice would you give us for us as aspiring filmmakers?
Oh wow, not really sure how to...
No, at least movie.
Don't give up.
Because you've been a part of at least more big, large, nice production.
Right.
I think at the end, the story matters a lot. I think that's where it begins, everything, and then it's also about the voice or the tone that you put into the story. It's not about how loud you are. It's about how true it is. That matters. That's what I've seen in every big films, every big project. Some just do it for a temporary gain or just to compete in somewhere else. We can know by the story, because these days, all around the world, even in countries like Bhutan, where internet, television, art is still just growing, but audience literacy is now. People will definitely know, even the song or a movie, why it was made, how it was made. Some kind of that audience literacy has really peaked. So we cannot hide. So if you don't have that truth, people will find it out, I think. So we cannot lose that. That's all I can say.
Thank you so much. Sure. We're going to make a movie about a beautiful girl.
True to myself.
True to myself. We find ourselves a Helen, man. Anasita. And he's swing to more. Madeli chapchu. But that's interesting. Okay, Achu, since we're wrapping up on time, I feel like you're also in a little bit of a rush. We do a little personality test here in the podcast. So we have 2 questions to check your personality.
Yeah.
Very lighthearted. So you just want to know more. What is your favorite Lay's packet color?
What's that?
Lay's chips. Favorite.
Oh, it's the blue one.
Always the mangoes. I told you. Always.
Blue, guys.
Blue for the win.
Who said that before? I mean, there's so many?
Like but in default, I think Bhutanese play blue.
Maybe it's because spicy or stingy. Yeah. Oh, that's good.
Blue. I think now it's been 4 in a row with it. And I'm just all right. And another one is imagine today is your last day to live, and tomorrow you're going to next life or Korwa or whatever. Okay, knock on wood. It won't happen, but let's imagine it does. What is today your final meal? And if you cannot think about a particular meal more, imagine a thali. What theme do you have?
Final meals. Meals.
No, meal with everything you want there.
Like your feast, last feast.
The feast.
If I knew that I'm gonna die tomorrow, I would not eat it all.
Okay, final drink.
Final drink. Some apple JD would be nice. To sum it up your whole life, to find some conclusions and then find that balance before you go.
No media. Apple Jack Daniels at the Misty next time you see him. That's what you give.
No meals.
All right. Okay, Achu, that time I mentioned, and you also actually kind of said it, that I told you this is not an interview, this is a podcast, it's a conversation, we're talking all about all things more. So Achu, anything you want to ask us before we end the podcast?
Well.
Question, random, doesn't have to be about us. You can, what is your opinion on watermelon?
Really? Well, first of all, thank you for having me, and it's been some time. I couldn't make it because of the recent schedules and all, and I've been checking some of the podcasts. You guys are doing a great job, and especially when the podcast is casual like this. I think it's a real human story, and then when people are in a setting like this, talking about things that they like that matters to them personally, I think it brings out a lot of stories as well.
Yes.
And the stories are, as I said, what makes us special as a human species. So keep doing it. That's all I can say. And the other thing is, do you guys agree about the music trend that's happening right now? Especially the young generation, the hip hop, you know.
Yeah.
I think because every generation has the right entitlement. There's no such thing as this one is more traditional, this one is more Bhutanese. So I think we have to accept that, embrace that.
Yeah. I love fusion. I like eating my what do you call paksha sikam with sukha roti. You know? I like eating my what do you call Lay's packet with
Ice cream.
egg fried rice. So fusion again, my brother. Like totse with fried chicken, mo KFC. So for me, it's like anime. That's what I wanted to say, but I forgot more. That time I was watching this video. Like every generation compares with the next generation, and they says there is better. Like we take the best from what our generation, which we like, okay, and we compare with the worst what we see. But doesn't mean that generation doesn't have a best version of their generation, and our generation doesn't have a worse version. Like they say, let's say, like example, down to 1960s now, who's mom smart to hair groom binu, then never wrong come to do. But back then also they had also ugly bad skincare, and then now we have kids more well groomed skincare pakabeshi. So it's a comparison because if you only look at and think about negatively, you only see the negative side. And if you think about positively, or at least open to it, you see it as a whole. So like there now also sometimes I see some music which I don't like. But I'm a little open to it, like, at least I found one line which was good, which you can see a potential that it can be better. And then more, you see like Qasim and Nola were talking about like what you do movie when you were growing up watching Chia Maga. Because I was like, hey, Hollywood chicken compare with the Bollywood chicken compare with the Sumi to get Jalim Kiti and Sumi Sumi acting top. But now when you grow up and realize that, they were working with very little means. They had the passion to make the story. They were there to relate with the community, and it affected so many people in Bhutan. Then you see it differently about it. Because I came from a negative point of view. But then looking back now,
he came as a hater.
That's a whole bit over this. Now I appreciate it. Especially like movies like Sunni. It's a beautiful
Meto is a 10 out of 10 movie, man.
It's like beautifully acted, shot, song. Like looking back, that's so that's
It's good we talked some industry shaking, empire shaking.
What about what Atta said?
No, talk about this because like I just remembered Jungda at that time. Talk about 1960s was not Jungda. It was their rickshaw at that time. It was their trend number one. And today's rickshaw number one trending it maybe, but 30 years from today, how would that generation talk about today's song? They would almost classify it same like Jungda. From the time, how did the guys sing that?
Sure. But so I hope like at least just like maybe like Machi generation is willing to adapt from the older and the newer is also ready to adapt more and not be like, hey, and then Agi is remember as a Madeva. Don't adapt, okay? The youngins, okay. Yeah, you have anything to add on what Atta and me mentioned?
No, man. Ekdam. Everything is ekdam.
Okay, all right then. We'll come to the end of our podcast. Thank you, Achu, again for coming, making time from your busy schedule.
Thank you.
We had fun. We had talked about a lot of weird to great topics.
Right.
And Veshlanga. Usually in the end, we could not offer you more than black coffee and some desserts.
It was wonderful.
But we do offer one thing, which is guaranteed, is if you have anything to promote, we call this the plug time. Anything you want to promote, anything which is happening, you can look into the camera and then see. So example, it's usually we have artists saying, hello, please check out my new music video. It's on this. Please listen to it and follow me on so and so. If you have anything, Acho, last opportunity.
Well, sure. First of all, you have to subscribe to Junior Studios as well. and we have a similar case because we talked about our comeback and we have just our new song that was out a couple of weeks ago. Majo Majo is streaming on YouTube. We have 3 more songs that's coming up very much soon, I think now, because we promised ourselves we will increase the frequency of songs that we are releasing. And we found out that you can do anything in your life, but if you don't do the things that you're meant to do, you'll not be happy. You can't live it any other way. So I've realized my truth is always in music as well, and in arts, in cinema. So therefore, we're getting back to music. And just like the similar case, in our case as well, we get a lot of viewers, and 70 or 80% from unsubscribed viewers. So it's just that button you have to click. You will not miss any of the new updates. Subscribe to local music, support local artists, and Bhutan is doing amazing in the music scene.
All right.
Thanks a lot.
All right.
Very nice.
Okay, thank you, Achu, once more. And
Majo
Majo.
Majo.
Speaking of Majo, please shout out to the members. Yeah, again, back to the God realms. Yeah, hustle.
The divine.
The divine ones. Okay, to the pod heads, we appreciate you, and also to Doti, our pod head pro. Big ups. Kiti Maha God mein. Okay, all right. Until the next episode, any last words, Norli?
Nothing.
Right, that's just like that. See you in the cinema, the small screens, the radios, or the bars in town. Till the next episode. Okay, Achu, help me do. What we do is we clap, okay? In 1, 2, 3, we clap.
Clap just once.
1, 2, 3, and. Yeah. Lasso.
Yes. Majo. Outro.